Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 23 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. Today, I am joined by my co-host and good friend, Jeremy Lambert. Jeremy, how are you?
Oh, I'm good tonight, Larry. We just got done watching Double or Nothing, so it was a good night.
It was, and we're going to talk about Double or Nothing tonight, and then we're going to play some catch-up on New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors reviews and talk a little bit about those. So it should be a good time for all. Anything else happening in your world, Jeremy, right now, or is everything good?
Everything is good. As a 90210 update, I just watched the episode where Matthew Perry shows up, and he's a tennis player who wants to kill his father or kill himself or something. But Matthew Perry makes an appearance on the show.
Yeah, 90210 actually has a pretty rich history of fun guest appearances throughout the run. I am still in season 5. Donna has moved on from shitty musician Ray Pruitt, who was abusing her, and is now dating Cal U quarterback. The Cal U quarterback is like Joe or some shit like that. And it was just the Thanksgiving episode, and she brought in Steve Young to meet with him for his birthday.
Oh, a Steve Young appearance.
That's right, Steve Young cameo on 90210. So it was good times there. And just kind of chirping along. Valerie's now dating David. So all kind of stuff going on. Kelly is Kelly is dating Colin, the artist from New York.
The artist formerly known as Prince Colin.
So, but yes, we're going to talk some Double or Nothing here tonight. And the show just finished not very long ago, and we start off with the pre-show, of course, which was the buy-in, Jeremy, and our first match was the Casino Battle Royal, with the winner getting a shot at the AEW Championship against the winner of Jericho and Omega in the main event, and Hangman Page, Drew the Joker, was the final entrant in after the whole debacle with Pac, which they're still putting over as a creative thing, but I keep hearing that there's visa issues there. So, like we said the other day, if it was a visa issue and they put out that story about creative stuff, that was really shitty. But Adam Page won, and he is going to challenge for the AEW Championship.
Not too surprising that Adam Page won after the whole creative differences with Pac. That was kind of a big theory going around that Adam Page would show up and win this, and they did the little angle earlier in the week where Paige said, "Oh, I'm not allowed to wrestle," and that was pretty much a tip-off right there that this guy's showing up in some capacity here, and they obviously have big plans for Paige. He was positioned to face Pac. It was really the first match they teased, and the first match they added to the card, because they went face-to-face at the inaugural rally way back in January. So they have big plans for Paige. He wins here. He gets to move on to the title match against, spoiler alert, Chris Jericho. The concept on paper sounded okay, like it was different. Battle royals have been done forever, and then you got the Royal Rumble and the reverse battle royals and all this other nonsense Vince Russo tried to create. And they tried to do something different. I didn't feel like it worked because you didn't really have a countdown. And so, I mean, that's the big thing in the Royal Rumble is the crowd counts along. Like, they had the countdown, but it was only 2 times or 3 times, and then 5 people come out at once, and you're like, why don't all these people just attack each other now? Orange Cassidy ended up being number 22, so I think they had 22 people in this match instead of 21. It was kind of a convoluted concept mess in the end. Some good spots. Joey Janela fucking killed himself multiple times. That poor guy. He's alive. He tweeted he's alive. Overall, though, Page winning, fine. Concept on paper, good. In execution, not so good. And some good moments and whatnot. I think most people will end up remembering Janela taking that table bump. And I called Ty Dillinger in the Battle Royal. So you're welcome, everybody.
Fair enough. Yeah, I thought the concept was okay. It far from lit the world on fire. I liked the Royal Rumble. I liked when Lucha Underground did like Aztec Warfare as a like kind of an update to that. And I like variations on that. But yeah, it was okay. I thought the match was pretty good, but it's nothing I'm going to rush to go back to watch. But Paige winning was the right call.
Orange Cassidy should have won.
Orange Cassidy was... I just love the fact that there was people on Twitter bitching about Orange Cassidy, and he was one of the most over dudes in the match for doing nothing.
Can we stop with Tommy Dreamer?
Yes, please.
He just main evented Impact last night, Friday night, whenever you're listening to this. They just announced he was going to main event with the Great Muta at their Night You Can't Miss special. He comes out on this show. I saw a tweet that said Tommy Dreamer as an ECW nostalgia act has lasted 2 times longer than ECW actually lasted. And that's 100% true. Can we just knock it off with this guy? No offense to Tommy Dreamer. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He has funny stories. He sounds like a nice guy. I don't need to see this guy on any wrestling show in 2019.
The thing is for as much as I'm sick of Tommy Dreamer, you almost have to respect him for getting on all these fucking shows.
Oh, I completely respect him for it. I mean, the guy he's made a lot of friends, and God bless him for it. It's just... this was fine on Tommy Dreamer. He's in a surprise appearance. Like it would have been the same as like Glacier. Like I thought Glacier coming out on here was really cool. MJF was fucking fantastic in this Battle Royal, by the way. But I thought like the nostalgia appearance like that is fine. I guess I'm burnt out with Tommy Dreamer because Impact Wrestling decides this guy should main event all their fucking shows. And so when he shows up in this, it just kind of makes me dislike him even more. It's all Impact's fault, as usual.
Yeah, but Tommy Dreamer gets another pay-per-view booking. It's amazing in 2019, but there you go. So backstage, they were going to interview Kylie Ray, and then it led to some stupid librarian shit with Peter Avalon and Leva Bates, which was not good.
No, it was bad.
Yeah, very bad. Seriously bad. It was quite honestly stupid. It meant nothing, and just interrupted what could have been a fine little interview for Kylie Ray. So anyway, they hyped Cody versus Dustin, and then we moved on to our second pre-show match. Kip Sabian defeated Sammy Guevara in just under 10 minutes. Thought it was a good and fun little match. They got to show off a bit. Wasn't quite as smooth as I would have hoped, but I thought they looked good, and it was a pre-show match. It was fine. It was good.
It definitely, I think it came off better than the Casino Battle Royale. The work was just smoother. I mean, a singles matches, unless your battle royal is like really good and has some stars and some really good surprises, which the Casino Battle Royal really didn't. Hangman Page was kind of the star and the winner once he was announced as coming out. So yeah, it came off better. The crowd didn't seem to know the guys too much. I think they knew Guevara from maybe being the Elite. Kip Sabian is kind of more of an unknown guy. But they worked hard, and by the end, the crowd was into it. A little surprising that Kip Sabian won because they pushed Guevara a little bit more, but maybe they got some plans for Kip Sabian. I mean, this is where if wins and losses are going to matter, like this is a bad look for Sammy Guevara, and now he has to kind of work his way out of this. So we'll see where they go with him on here.
Yeah, so we got a promo for Sadie Gibbs, a UK talent, coming in, showing her working out and doing some cool stuff. I thought it was a well-done video package. Of note, on commentary, we had Alex Marvez and Excalibur during the pre-show. They saved Jim Ross for the pay-per-view. Alex Marvez was really rough, didn't really add much of anything. Excalibur was the MVP like all night on commentary. So we had that going for us. See, Jim Ross was making his way to commentary. Cody and Brandy Rhodes arrived with Pharaoh in their fancy truck. Kenny Omega was walking.
Cody decided to just skip the pre-show. He said, fuck this pre-show.
It's WCW, baby, arriving late. So Kenny Omega was walking backstage, and Matt Jackson met with Michael Nakazawa. Nick arrived. Some goof asked him for their credentials and got a super kick. So then the Bucks, Cody, Brandy, and Kenny Omega arrived in front of the crowd. They welcomed everybody to the show, and then Matt said he was excited to see 20,000 people here, but Cody said the building only holds 13, Matt. And Matt says, well, you round up in wrestling. So Cody says they set the record with 20,000, obviously taking a dig at WWE's WrestleMania numbers.
I think they were just taking a dig at wrestling inflating in general.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sure it's a WWE thing because they'll do it more than anybody else. And as we saw, they were not above taking plenty of digs in WWE on this show.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of that, but they're going to do what they're going to do. They said they were going to make history tonight, and that tonight was the start of a revolution. Got to Nash. Go ahead.
Oh, one thing I didn't like, a couple things I didn't like about the pre-show. One, did we really need, like, the librarian thing? Like, that was stupid. Like, this is a pre-show. In theory, like, people are going to watch this for free. It was streaming on many different platforms. So the theory of any pre-show is, hey, watch the pre-show, get excited for the main show, buy the main show, like to add last-minute buys and whatnot. The librarian stuff was dumb. The Sadie Gibbs promo, I kind of understand, sure. Like, there was nothing on Chris Jericho during this pre-show. And if you're looking to add last-minute buys, you would think he would be some type of featured part of this pre-show. Like, the only thing that made me think, oh, maybe this will add some buys is the Dustin and the Cody promo. I don't understand why there was nothing with Jericho and Omega and just pushing Chris Jericho is also on this show and main eventing. That was a weird call to me. And I didn't care for the 4 elite guys coming out and doing this little promo and baby facing the crowd and then working differently later and stuff. It was just kind of like they did it all in. It made sense at all in because it was a one-time thing. For this, it didn't make like a whole lot of sense to me.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I do think that the pre-show was largely fine, but yeah, I wouldn't say that it... If I was watching first time and was watching it, I wouldn't say that there was anything that made me go, I need to spend $50. And like you said, not mentioning Jericho, probably the biggest mistake of that, because you're trying to snag more than the whatever number of subscribers that subscribe to Being the Elite or know these guys from online. You're trying to look for casual fans and lapsed WWE fans. And, Chris Jericho, maybe a nice big sexy video package would have fit the bill there. But we didn't get it. So good point. We moved on to the main card, got the national anthem. We opened up with SCU versus the Strong Hearts, which were Ashima, Lindemann, and T-Hawk. The biggest downfall to this match had nothing to do with the work. It was that Jim Ross kept referring to Strong Hearts as the Chinese fellas. Yes, I know OWE is a Chinese company, but...
Jim Ross heard that and was like, they're all Chinese.
Apparently so. And he ran with it the entire time. You would think maybe Excalibur could nudge him, or maybe somebody could get in his ear and go, Jesus Christ, dude, they're not Chinese. But no. Anyway,
Go ahead.
I thought that this was perfect match to kick off the show because... SCU are, number one, they're over. Number two, they're extremely reliable. And number three, they'd work really well with pretty much anybody. Add in the fact that Shima is excellent in laying out trios matches from all the Dragon Gate stuff. And it just seemed like a recipe for success. SCU won in 14 minutes after the best Meltzer ever. I thought it was a great sprint-style opener, hell of a way to kick off the pay-per-view. And again, the only downfall I thought was Jim Ross's Chinese commentary.
I'll get the bad out of the way first. I think Jim Ross immediately referred to them as OEW, so strike one. And then, they're going to China, all these Chinese guys in there. He clearly could not tell them apart. He couldn't. He was rough. And that was to be expected, honestly. I think we all figured he was going to be very rough in this match. And he was. He kind of knew Daniels, maybe a little bit of Kazarian. I really don't think he knew Scorpio Sky at all. And he definitely didn't know the OWE guys. So not a good start for Jim Ross. The actual match was fucking awesome. This was so smooth. All these guys were just so great with the moves they were pulling off, the transitions, just everything. Like, this was a perfect opener for this card. Like, the crowd was ready to just cheer for anything, and they immediately gave them something to cheer about. Like, the work was great in this. A little surprising that SCU won, because I thought maybe with the OWE relationship they would want to kind of showcase them. I mean, they got showcased, but I thought, hey, maybe they get this win here, say these guys are gonna kind of be players, but I guess they're probably not going to be on the weekly television too much, so you want to go ahead and get SCU kind of established and get them going early. And they've been the team for forever now, and the OWE guys, I don't know how much Lindemann and T-Hawk team on there. I assume they don't work too many trios matches with Shima, so I get how SCU won, just kind of maybe a little surprising because I think I picked the OWE guys to win. But as far as a match goes, like, this was just fantastic.
Yeah, hell of a way to kick off the show. And I believe it was on Observer Radio, I heard that Shima's actually moving to the U.S. to be a big part of the company, which...
Yeah, he's going to be full-time with them from what they've announced. So, and that's why if they had won, it would make sense if Shima's going to be there full-time. But I still get why SCU won.
Yeah, but he's going to be a really big asset in helping, like, if they do, like, a lot of trios matches and stuff, because with all the stuff he's done in, like, Dragon Gate and everything, he just has such a great mind for it. And I think he'll be a huge asset to the company. So anyway, yeah, Excalibur really carried commentary here. Next up was supposed to be the women's triple threat. Allie joined commentary to hype her as part of the women's division. It was supposed to be Kylie Rae versus Nyla Rose versus Dr. Britt Baker, but Brandy Rhodes arrived and immediately healed it up because she was in her gear, and everybody thought she was going to enter this match. And she said, I knew this would be a good match, and she's like, and I don't want a great match. She's like, I want an awesome match. And that brought out the returning Awesome Kong. So it was Kylie Rae versus Nyla Rose versus Dr. Britt Baker versus Awesome Kong. Jeremy, your thoughts?
The tease was very good. I was worried that Brandy was going to come out and just insert herself into the match because she was in full gear. It was very reminiscent of New Day back at WrestleMania when the Hardy Boys made their return. So I like the tease there. This is another thing where she's a babyface in the opening, or the main event of the pre-show, and then she kind of plays heel right here. There was just a disconnect with that whole thing. Awesome Kong, fine. I don't remember anything she did in this match. I'm pretty sure she did like one spot and then got taken out and was never heard from again. Kylie Rae is clearly a star. Britt Baker is clearly going to be like the ace of this division, and I don't blame them for pushing her as such because she's very marketable, and she's good in the ring as well. So it was a good win for Britt Baker. I understand it sucks that Kylie Rae had to take the loss because I do see a lot in her, but you want to protect Nyla Rose as kind of a monster heel in the division. And Awesome Kong, I don't know if she ever got back in the ring after leaving the ring, so maybe she just couldn't get back in the ring to take the pinfall. Yeah,
I thought it was good overall. I thought it largely let Baker and Kylie Rae shine, and they're going to be two of your bigger talents going forward for the division, so I was okay with that. And the Awesome Kong surprise came off well. The crowd really liked it. And yeah, it's like, when was the last time she was around, It's like, outside of the Netflix series, like, she's just not been in wrestling and stuff, so it's yeah, I mean, I think people wanted to be entertained, wanted a surprise, and they got it here. So yeah, good match. Dr. Britt Baker picks up the win. And she was very happy, and Adam Cole was very happy for her on Twitter, so the happy couple was happy. That's good. We moved on to tag team action, and tag team wrestling really shined on this show between like the trios matches and the tag matches. Jack Evans and Angelico versus the Best Friends, Jeremy. They got just under 13 minutes. I thought it was very, very good. It built throughout. It kept getting better. The crowd loved it. And it was just really entertaining. The Best Friends pick up the win with strong 0. And everything was good and happy until the post-match. when the lights went out and God After Impact, I was afraid it was Sabu for a minute. But it was the Super fucking Smash Brothers, the good brothers from Canada who have been exiled due to visa stuff. And they had a bunch of minions in masks, and they attacked and took out Evans and Angelico. And then they hit the Batbreaker on Trent, and they stood tall. Another strong addition to this building tag team division, and a team I love. So your thoughts on the match and post-match?
Yeah, I don't know much about the Super Smash Brothers. I trust your word that if you say they're good and you love them, then they probably are very good, because I'm sure you've watched 200 of their matches, and I've watched maybe 2. I mean, the Young Bucks obviously like them, and I think they know a little bit something about tag team wrestling. It didn't come off like I didn't have an issue with it. I actually thought it came off kind of cool. Like, hey, the lights are out. There's these kind of weird looking guys, and they're here. They're gonna make an impact, and then they're out again, and then they've got minions. Like, this is kind of cool. And then they attack, and then they do this like cool pose with the minions and stuff, and then they turn the lights out again. I thought like that was a cool introduction. It didn't come off well because the crowd literally chanted, "Who are you?" And that kind of, you know, you don't want your crowd chanting "Who are you?" in the middle of this show when you're trying to make this big introduction for these guys. So that was the only bad part about the post match to me, is the crowd just didn't know who they were. The match itself was excellent, more just great work. My only complaint about it is it did a lot of stuff that maybe could have ended the match, and like you knew you were going to get a lot of like big spots and a lot of kickouts of stuff that should probably put the match away in the Bucks and Lucha Brothers match. And they kind of did almost a light version of that here, where it was like, all right, that definitely should have been the end. That could have been the end. That could have been the end. I don't have like overall, I realize that's going to kind of be the AEW style. I don't want it to go too far in that realm. And Jim Ross was clearly not having any of it, where he was just like, come on, like that's really not the end. I'm not going as far as Jim Ross would, but I think in a kind of not an opening tag team match, but a lower card tag team match, you don't have to go completely crazy and have these big kickouts of everything. And I hope that gets toned down a little on television. I understand with this being a big show, you can get away with this stuff a little bit more. With television, I don't want them to go crazy with kickouts over stuff that should end the match.
I agree with that. I do think for this show, because the whole show, they had to hit a home run with this. So I think that they were trying to give everybody a chance to deliver as much as they could. But like you said, if it becomes the norm on TV, then it's going to lose all meaning. So I will agree with that. But I thought here it was fine. Yeah, very good match. I thought everybody looked good. And this tag division is going to be pretty damn strong, I think. So AEW returns to Chicago on August 31st, which is presumably the next big pay-per-view. We moved on to the Joshi Trios match, Aja Kong, Yuka, and Emi Sakura versus Shida, Riho Abe, and Mizunami. I thought that the Joshis, there was one bad part of this match. It was near the end, they did a near fall, and the fucking bell ringer rang the bell. And it wasn't a finish. But I thought the ref covered for it well, and they went in, did another finish, got it all sorted out. Just over 13 minutes. I really thought that the Joshis killed it here. They got a chance to shine. And if this is going to be part of their programming going forward, if they're going to be able to use these talents, and this is something different. You're not going to see this on Impact or ROH. I mean, ROH uses like the Stardom women like once a fucking year, and half the time they're on YouTube. You're not going to see it in WWE. This feels different. And again, we talked about it on the preview. This is something Kenny Omega is really, really behind. This is kind of his baby. And hey, if we're going to get shit like this on the TV and pay-per-views, I am all for it. I thought it was great.
This match was, again, just another excellent match where it's 6 women that maybe you've only heard of one of them, that being Aja Kong. But by the end of it, you're like, wow, I need to see more of these women. I thought they all looked really good. Yeah, the The ending was obviously screwed up. I don't know who screwed it up. If it was, I would assume it was the timekeeper or the bell ringer, because why are you ringing the bell in that instance? Not great there, but what can you do? Accidents happen. Otherwise, like these 6 ladies completely killed it. I hope that this becomes a regular thing. They have ties to these Joshi promotions. As you said, Kenny Omega is very involved with that. Brandy Rhodes seems to be doing a really good job with that as well. They're kind of leading the women's division. Yeah, if they can make them a part of the show weekly or get them on these monthly shows, it can definitely be something different, because no one else is going to have it, as you said. So I thought this match was excellent. I was worried about it because it was a thing where the crowd wasn't going to know them. Jim Ross, once again, didn't know what was going on. But these ladies just went out there and completely killed it. So big credit to them.
Yeah, Shida, Abe, and Mizunami won the match at the end. Really good stuff. Really enjoyable. And yeah, the only downfalls being the early bell ring and Jim Ross just being confused. Other than, I've never called an Aja Kong match before. I'm excited. And then he was the only one she talked about because that's all he knew. So, what are you going to do? So we headed up. We had Cody versus Dustin next. Cody got the Triple H themed throne entrance. He broke out a sledgehammer and then destroyed the throne, which he did get a huge reaction for. So I guess that was his big shot at Triple H there. And, people liked it. Not my favorite kind of stuff, but what are you going to do? That's fine. And then we had Cody versus Dustin. And I think I am safe to say that this exceeded everybody on the planet Earth's expectations.
100%. I thought it could be good if they did the smoke and mirrors stuff. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it ended up being. Real quickly on the throne stuff, the whole thing was hokey. I didn't completely hate it. I'm not against something like that. I don't particularly like when other promotions take shots at WWE, because this is what TNA did all the time, and it just made them look second rate. I worry that AEW could fall into that same trap, but I think for this show with this audience, it worked in that sense, and it was better than, your typical kind of, hey, I'm really bitter about leaving being fired by WWE or whatever, and then you cut a promo and all that nonsense. Like, it was cute but hokey at the same time. But Cody Rhodes felt like a big deal here, and I think that was the biggest thing. And it wasn't because he is now the Throne Breaker, which is a stupid nickname, and I hope that doesn't catch on. I think I've told you this before. Cody Rhodes oftentimes feels like he's playing pro wrestler, and he acts like he's a bigger deal than he is, and more power to him. It's gotten him this far. Tonight, he truly felt like a big deal.
Yeah, I thought this was an excellent professional wrestling match. Cody ended up winning in just over 22 minutes. Went a lot longer than I thought, and I was a little worried that they would go too long and do kind of too much bullshit, because we've talked about Cody loves to bring the circus to town. But they did a little of it early. Brandy got kicked out of the match, and then it just, it had a great atmosphere. Crowd was into it before they even touched. And then they're going back and forth, and Dustin's teasing the Shattered Dreams in the corner. Cody pulls off the buckle pad, trips him up into it, and this leads to Dustin tapping a fucking artery. And I'm not kidding. My man was wearing half face paint, and by the time the match was done, he was fully red face paint because of the blood. Jay Briscoe and Muda were like, "Damn, brother, calm down." It was a big blade job. I've been really critical of Cody in the past because of, bringing the circus to town and kind of taking the cheap way around things. And, some of his matches feel lackadaisical, but then there's matches like He had a match with Ibushi that was great, Jay Lethal was great, Okada that was great, and then you see, like, he can be a really great pro wrestler. And he put in a great performance here. But quite honestly, Dustin may have actually put in, like, the best performance of his long career tonight. He's 50 years old, coming off double knee surgery, selling like $1 million, bleeding buckets, digging deep, trying to hang with his younger brother, which he did. You had the blood, the emotion, the great heat from the crowd. Most importantly, too, I think that it was different from everything else on the show. And that's kind of like a theme throughout the shows. They did a really good job of making the matches largely all feel different. And to me, that's when pro wrestling really succeeds, is when you have that big variety. And this was just really great. It fucking rolled. And, I love the pro wrestling, Jeremy, when it's done like this. Thought it was just an excellent, excellent match. One of the best, if not the best on the show. Just depends on your personal taste. Post-match, Cody tells Dustin, you can't retire like this. Next month at the Fight for the Fallen show, I have an open contract. And it's me and a partner. And he's like, we're going to face the Young Bucks. He's like, but I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need my big brother. And they shared a hug and they got a huge pop. And the match and the post-match just came off fucking beautiful, man. Your thoughts?
This is just what I love about pro wrestling. I've said it before. I don't do star ratings or anything like that. I love pro wrestling when I'm invested in a story, when from start to finish, it just makes me feel something. And that's what this was. Was this a great match? Yes, it was. Was it the most technical match? No. Matches can be great for different reasons. They messed some stuff up. They redid the apron spot where Dustin did like the spin around when he's trying to roll him back to the ring. I don't know near the finish what they were going for with the clothesline where they both did.
I'm pretty sure they were trying to Spanish Fly there.
I thought so too, and in the end, they just both did. Remember when Rikishi would do the flip off the Rock clothesline? Yeah. Like that's what it looked like. They both just kind of did the Rikishi flip there, and I was like, "What are you going for here?" So yeah, they messed some things up. Whatever. Dustin is like 50, and Cody, I've never been like you. I've never been super high on his work. He's had great matches with Omega, Ibushi, Okada, like literally 3 of the top 5 workers in the world, and Jay Lethal, who is the best worker in Ring of Honor. So literally 4 of the top workers in the world. I mean, a lot of people can have good matches with those guys. And Dustin Rhodes is not those 4. But it didn't need to be that. It didn't need to be like this great pro wrestling match in a technical kind of sense. It was this great pro wrestling match in just an emotional sense. And from start to finish, from the introductions, corny, throne breaking aside, just Dustin's intro, his music was great, by the way. The chants for Dusty, just the emotion on their faces, the blood, like Dustin, just jeez, God bless that man for bleeding those buckets for this match. The finish, just everything. Brandy Rhodes with the spear, which was great. This was by far JR's best match. It's amazing that JR turned out to be halfway decent when he knew the people in the match and knew the story of the match. This is one of those matches on this show that had a big story. Okay, Omega and Jericho sort of had a story playing on their history, but it was also just, it's Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, they're 2 big stars, they're going to be in the main event. Bucks and Pentagon were just, 2 really good tag teams, and they've kind of done some stuff on the independents. They laid each other out. It is what it is. This was, brother versus brother. Cody cut the really good promo on the Road to Double or Nothing special. Dustin was cutting really good promos on Road to Double or Nothing, and then the promo we cut on at Starrcast. Like, this had a really good story behind it, and like they delivered. So credit to both men. The post match was great. The hugging, the whole I need my brother to face the Young Bucks at the June, or I think the July show. Like, I don't know how good that match is going to be. Probably good because it has the Bucks in it. Just everything. This is one of those things where I always just say, like, this is why I just love professional wrestling, because of the stories involved in it, and when it makes me feel something beyond, like, yeah, that was just a really great match, and that's what this match did, and this whole entire segment did for me.
Yeah, just great stuff. I think the match with the Bucks will actually be really good because Cody and Dustin love teaming together. And they kind of got cut short on that in WWE, and I think they'll be excited to team together. Plus, they'll be working with the Bucks, and I think, Cody he loves those guys, and he's going to be excited. And I think Dustin's going to be really amped up because those are guys he's never had a chance to face. He's teaming with Cody again. And, if he can bring half the damn energy and emotion he brought tonight, it could be possibly some great stuff. So they smartly moved on to a buffer segment because, that was just... the next match would have lived up fine to it, but it was just... You have that big emotional story and match and everything. You kind of need a little bit of a breather. So they did highlights of Adam Page winning the Casino Royale. And then they talked about him facing the winner of Omega versus Jericho. And then they brought out Bret Hart to reveal the AEW World Title belt. Bret Hart came out. I heard some rumblings that he was replacing Ric Flair in this spot because apparently Flair was going to do it, but then he had the surgery and couldn't make Vegas this weekend. He brings out Adam Page, but MJF and Ultimate Asshole Mode arrives. And this crowd was into calling him an asshole. He is so much fun. He's just, he looks like such a douchebag that you want to hate. And I mean that as a compliment. I really do. He's really great at what he does. He mocked everybody for calling him an asshole. He said, "You paid to see me, so who's the asshole? I'm the fastest rising star in wrestling." Then he was like, "Hey, Brett, watch out. Someone's coming in the ring." Joking about his Hall of Fame attack. He ran down Page for having his bad leg and told him he should basically give him his title shot. Called Brett old. And then Jungle Boy and Jimmy Havoc arrived, and they, along with Page, cornered him. And they ended up kicking the shit out of MJF. Havoc and Jungle Boy took him into the crowd. And, it was a good buffer segment following that Cody-Dustin match. A nice little break. And, you got the belt out there for people to see. You got a Bret Hart appearance, and people seem to really like it.
I didn't like this segment. I thought MJF was great. He was the only good thing about this segment. Bret stumbled over everything, which I get it. He's older. He's had a stroke and everything. He was never like the best on the mic or anything like that either. Like bringing out Adam Page, fine, that made sense. MJF, again, he was really good. Then Havoc and Jungle Boy, and it's like, all right, why do they care here? I guess they're going to be positioned as decent stars, and so they're trying to just get them some screen time. Sure. They missed, and maybe this is Bret's fault. It's somebody, maybe it's production's fault. It's somebody's fault. Like, they missed the unveiling of the title. Bret doesn't even turn to the hard camera where you get like a good shot at the title either. It was just, if you're gonna introduce this title, like, just introduce it. Just introduce it. Have Adam Page come out and be like, this is what you're fighting for. And, Bret puts over Adam Page, and it's like, all right, this is it. Like, this is what it's time for. Instead, it was just like a kind of a mess of a segment to me, and just very unnecessary way to introduce their world title, literally their world title. I don't know. I didn't like it. It truthfully felt almost like Mick Foley introducing the 24/7 title, where you got the legend out there stumbling over his words. He pulls out this title, and people are just like, in our cases with this, like, we didn't even see the big unveiling, and then you just got guys out there like who aren't even involved in the title picture, and I didn't like it. I truthfully didn't.
I think it's all fair criticism. I think it worked only because I said you needed like a buffer segment, but I think the criticisms are all fair. Bret did stumble over his words, and that's something he does quite frequently when he has promo time anymore. But yeah, MJF was really good, and the production for the most part on the night I thought was good. there were, WWE does this, TNA does this, Impact does this, ROH does it. Every once in a while, there was a missed shot here and there on a couple things, like the belt reveal and a move here and there. I thought it was largely clean overall. I thought the show looked good. But, valid criticisms. I don't blame you for hating it. I just thought as a buffer it worked. But, yeah, far from a quality segment.
I'm fine with them. The production had hiccups. They're gonna have hiccups. WWE still has hiccups, and I'm just convinced it's not even hiccups anymore. They're just bad at producing wrestling television now with their fucking camera cuts and zooming and missing shots. I thought they missed Janela getting the cigarette stapled into his forehead in the Casino Battle Royale. They had the reaction shot but didn't have the actual stapling. They missed moves and whatnot. I get it. It happens. You can't miss the belt reveal like this. You just can't. You're revealing your world title. This is the only thing you should be focusing on, not MJF getting beat up by Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy, and Adam Page. That shit doesn't matter. You've got to have a shot of the belt being revealed. And this also falls on Brett because he's holding it up towards the entrance. And so if he's going to do that, you've got to have a camera in the ring shooting him and shooting the belt. So I thought this was a production issue that just you can't afford in this one. You can afford move missing. You can't afford missing a shot at the belt, which is a really good looking belt, by the way. I love the design of this belt. They said they were going to try to make it like the Mid-South North American title, and they certainly went big like that with all the side plates and the big centerpiece. It's a really beautiful belt. It would have been nice if we could have seen it a bit more.
Yeah, and again, these are all fair criticisms because, like you said, you can't miss stuff like that. It has to be the focus of the segment. And when you miss it like that, it's like, well, it wasn't, and it comes across as a disappointment because while we saw it on Twitter and stuff, we didn't see it on the live show, and maybe not everybody that's watching the show is following on Twitter, so maybe they didn't see it, and they're still wondering what the hell Brett had in the bag.
TDE Wrestling could not pull together a good gif of Brett revealing the title. That tells you all you need to know.
I was gonna say, and that's almost impossible because that brother can pull a gif of fucking anything.
Yeah, he had a good picture he had a good screenshot of Brett holding the title, which is the only screenshot anybody is using because it's the only good screenshot, and it's literally 1 second of a screenshot. He could not gif the moment that Brett actually pulls the belt out of the bag, and that's what you need. You need that gifable moment, and if TDE Wrestling can't pull that out, then you screwed up somewhere.
Yeah, honestly, it is. So we then moved on to the co-main event for the AAA World Tag Team titles. Champions the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. The Young Bucks retained the titles in 25 minutes. I thought they had an excellent tag match. And again, this is a match that one of the best of the night, but it's going to depend on your taste. If you like a big moves-intensive match, with a lot of kickouts and just a lot of action and a lot of great tag team stuff, you're probably going to love this. But if you're more invested in story and stuff, you're probably going to prefer Cody and Dustin. They're two completely different matches. But I thought that they were both excellent matches with amazing crowds that just added to it. This match was a hot crowd, balls to the wall action. Both teams got the shine. It was basically them emptying their entire arsenal. The Young Bucks kind of digging into their PWG history with Steen and Jericho for some stuff like the Buckle Brain Buster and Package Pile Driver. Just a lot of fun. Great action. That they kept it going the whole time. Just a lot of good stuff. And again, the tag team wrestling on this show really, really shined to me. And I think early on it's probably going to carry the company. Because you look at it, you got the Best Friends, you got SCU, you're going to have the OWE guys, you got Super Smash Brothers, you got Jack Evans and Angelico, you got the Young Bucks, you got the Lucha Bros. And that's just a start. That's a hell of a division right now. And if that's what you're going to kind of focus on early on, I think that's good. because I think there's a lot of chance for that to deliver. But I thought this was excellent. Jeremy, your thoughts?
The tag team wrestling is definitely going to carry the company for. I mean, just look at the next two shows. The main event of Fyter Fest was, and I would assume this gets changed in some capacity. We'll see. But it was supposed to be Omega and the Bucks against Pac and the Lucha Bros, and like there you go. It's a 6-man tag. I don't know what the main event of Fyter Fest is going to be, but
Kenny Omega versus Shima, I believe, is the announced main event now.
For Fight for the Fallen?
I think so. Or no. Fuck if I remember now.
Yeah, Omega and Shima are wrestling at Fight for the Fallen. And this is what I was going to say. I don't feel like that's going to be the main event over the Bucks against the Rhodes, because that's the bigger match. So like, you just look at their next two shows, you're probably going to have a tag team match in the main event. And granted, only the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros. We'll see if the Rhodes family teams a little bit more. But like the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros are your established tag team there. But this is what it is with the tag team division. Like, these guys can main event these shows. And then you get to all out, and we'll see what happens there. But it looks like the next two shows are going to be headlined by tag team wrestling. And if this was your big first tag team wrestling main event and in the co-main event, like this set the table for everything, because it was definitely something completely different than Cody and Dustin. And this is why wrestling is so great, because Cody and Dustin was an emotional roller coaster with a great story to it. It was a roller coaster in a different sense, where it was just a lot of peaks, and it just kept peaking and peaking and peaking, and then it had the little drop off, but then it would go again, and a lot of twists and turns. This was more like a looping roller coaster, I guess. The purpose of this match was, all right, who is the best tag team in the world? And sometimes that's all you need, is just who's the fucking best. Like, you don't need complicated stories. Just who's the best tag team. They pulled out all the stops in this match. You said it went 25 minutes. It did not feel like 25 minutes at all. Like, it truthfully felt like a 13-minute sprint, because that's just how quick this action went. There was no rest periods for anybody, and maybe if there's a criticism, like that would be your criticism, is they didn't have a whole lot of time for things to breathe. But when you're talking about the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, like, they didn't need to have time to breathe. And it was just great. It was a different kind of wrestling than Cody and Dustin, but that's what makes wrestling so great, is both of those matches where you can watch them and be like, hey, those were awesome to watch. They made me feel something, and they did it in different ways. So great match. The Bucks winning, a little surprising. I thought the Lucha Brothers were going to end up winning, but I guess the Bucks can go back to AAA and drop the titles to somebody. Who knows? They teased doing a big move on being the Elite, and as far as I know, they didn't do it here. There was at one point where even like Jim Ross brought it up and was like, oh, is that the move? And Excalibur had to correct him and be like, no, that's a Motor City Machine Guns thing. So yeah, I don't think they delivered on the big move. I assume they're going to kind of keep teasing that, and maybe they bust it out at some point and they kind of slow build it. But I thought that was just kind of an interesting wrinkle that they teased this thing and then didn't, as far as we know, deliver on that.
Yeah, and again, the strength and the variety of the card, I think, is what really helped this show. Because for the most part, I mean, this was a 5-hour show. And we talk about how not all shows need to be 4 and 5 hours long, because they don't. But then sometimes there are shows like this one that, for the large part, don't feel like 5 hours. We'll talk about the main event here in a second, which I know you thought had some drag to it, and I kind of agree. I don't disagree at all. But as a whole for the show, though, I thought the match layouts were really good as far as when they happened and everything. I thought they timed out the show really well, and everything just kind of worked. So we move on to the main event. Chris Jericho's entrance was actually fun, where they had dudes dressed up as Jerichos from the past, doing like the original Jericho entrance in WWE, the list entrance, the light up jacket entrance, and stuff like that. And then Dad Jericho came out with his wacky fedora and leather jacket. So that was the entrance. I thought that was actually kind of clever because the whole thing with Jericho is everybody talks about how he's constantly evolved over the years, and I thought that was a nice play off of that. So the winner of this match gets to face Adam Page, we know, for the AEW Championship down the line, likely in Chicago at the pay-per-view. Chris Jericho defeated Kenny Omega at 23:50 via pin with his Judas Effect elbow strike. Your thoughts, Jeremy?
As I was saying before we went on the air, I did think that, I mean, this was a long show. It began at 7. This match was going on until 11:30, so 4.5 hours, which I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. 4.5 hours just seems long to me. I mean, Cody even said that not every show was going to be nearly a 4-hour show. It's just this was kind of special, and so I get that. After you had seen Cody and Dustin and the Bucks against the Lucha Brothers, like that's just very, very tough to top right there. And credit to Kenny Omega, who I feel like really worked his ass off in this match and just took, I mean, he suffered a broken nose. He took some insane bumps in this match. Jericho, I was worried that he was a step behind 2 years ago or I guess a year and a half ago when he first met Omega. He definitely looked a step behind in this one. They messed up the obviously the DDT spot that they redid, and Jericho just looked a little off to me. And the guy is older. He trained really hard for this match from everything we read and saw, but Father Time catches up to everybody. And I'm not saying this was a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, it was a long show. It had to follow 2 like real banger matches for different reasons, and it just could not live up to that. The finish was definitely surprising. I thought Omega was going to win. I think most people thought Omega was going to win. And once Jericho hit the Judas Effect, the spinning elbow, I kind of figured, all right, well, that's it. I truthfully didn't expect Omega to kick out, because they've talked very much about, we want to protect finishers, and when a finisher hits, like, we want that to kind of be the end. Like, this is the first time this guy's hitting this move. If you kick out of it right away, then it's like, all right, what does this move really mean? So I liked that this was the finish. It almost seemed abrupt, but I did like that this is the finish, and Jericho winning. Now you got Jericho and Hangman, and that's a good feud for Hangman if you're going to position this guy as a star, because, I mean, Jericho he got a fucking clipboard over. Like, this guy can get anything over, and if you're going to put Hangman as one of your stars, putting him in there with Chris Jericho and doing a 2-month build to All Out, like, that's going to do wonders for Hangman. And then if he wins, like, that's even better. So I think Jericho winning, this was actually the right call in the end.
Yeah, I think so as well. I actually picked Jericho to win, and I thought it was going to be the right play for this match. I thought it was very good. I didn't think it was nearly as good as the New Japan match they had. I think it went a little long. It probably would have benefited from shaving a few minutes off. But I thought it was very good overall. And then this led to the post-match where Jericho made fun of all the marks in the crowd, said that he is AEW, that the company's for him, not the fans. He got them the company, the TV deal. He sold out the building. It was all him. He demanded a thank you, and that's when Big John Moxley arrived, laid out Jericho with dirty deeds, laid out the referee, and then brawled with Kenny Omega through the crowd. And at the end of the night, he laid him out on top of the giant poker chips on the stage and stood tall after he DVD'd him off of the chips through the stage. So out of the main event, we now have Chris Jericho versus Hangman Page, and then you're going to build to John Moxley and Kenny Omega, which is a fresh match and a big match to do right away.
John Moxley showing up was, I mean, they hit a home run with that. We talked about it in the preview. Were they going to be able to pull it off? It'd been teased ever since he said, like, I'm not going to re-sign with WWE. And then people were like, oh, this is a work because WWE has announced it. WWE, if anything, WWE did All Elite Wrestling a huge favor with the way they presented Ambrose / Moxley in the end, because they made it seem like with the send off they gave him, there's no way this guy's coming to this company. They gave him this whole Shield reunion. They gave him wins. I guess he lost to EC3, but he got that win back. Drew McIntyre took him out, but then they still, like, on his last pay-per-view he won. They did the whole Shield reunion special. Like, they really pushed that Shield reunion stuff, and like they treated Ambrose better than they've treated just about any other star who has left the company on terms like this. And then he shows up here, and it's like, okay, that's not a throne breaking shot, but that's still like a big shot at WWE. And like they pulled it off, and kudos to them. But from the talks of it, it sounds like he was in immediate contact with AEW after his contract expired, or maybe even when he decided he was going to make the announcement that he was leaving. And this guy might be a hell of an actor, because maybe he played WWE and was like, yeah, I'll probably just go around on the indies or whatever, and then I'll be back here. And I don't know all the backstage nonsense that goes on, or what goes on in the mind of Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley, but full credit to AEW for pulling this off. He lays out Jericho, he attacks Omega, he lays out Omega. Yeah, you're building towards Moxley and Omega now. He got a huge reaction, as you would expect him to get. And again, credit to them for having this surprise in their back pocket, because we all speculated that it might happen, and the tea leaves were there, but there was also some red flags that it wasn't going to be there, and they pulled it off. So complete credit to them.
All right, Jeremy. So Double or Nothing is in the books. We'll go baseball here. Did they hit a single, double, triple, or a home run with the show?
Most certainly a home run. I mean, there wasn't really a bad match on the card. The pre-show could have been better, but if your biggest complaint is about the pre-show, then, I mean, it's the pre-show. Commentary was rough to start. I thought Jim Ross got better when he actually knew the wrestlers. Excalibur really carried things. I don't remember Alex Marvez saying a single word, so he could probably go, honestly. Production, they missed some things. I already ranted about the title thing. The other stuff, you can kind of clean that up, but it's their first show, so I expect them to get better in that sense. In-ring action from start to finish. Again, there wasn't a bad match on this card. They set up things for the future. They did some really strong work tonight. I think my biggest complaint, and this isn't a complaint, this just has to do with, I guess, the timing and the scheduling, is this show was a home run to me, and now you're following it up with 2 minor shows in June and July. Your next big show isn't until August, and then you don't debut on television until we don't know when, because nothing has been announced. Like, they'll do some good work on being the elite, but they're going, like we said in the preview, it just feels like they're going to lose a little bit of momentum with all of this, because this was a home run show. You got Jon Moxley on your side now, in your company, and you can't get his face out there to the television audience weekly until whenever they debut. And he's going to be wrestling at Fyter Fest, so that's a good sign that he's going to be working their shows. And again, they'll do work on being the elite, but they're going to lose a little bit of momentum from this, and that kind of sucks, because this show was fantastic.
Yeah, it does. Hopefully they can do what they can with the shows they have to try to keep momentum and names out there, but I certainly agree. I thought it was a home run of a show. Again, like you said, minor production issues, and that stuff's going to have to be worked out, but we have some time before we get the TV, thankfully, to do that, and so we will see what happens. So we're going to play some catch-up now and talk Best of the Super Juniors from New Japan Pro Wrestling. We already reviewed nights 1 through 4 the last time we spoke. So we will hit 3 through 8 tonight. Or, I'm sorry, 5 through 8 tonight. Night 5 started off with Sho defeating Taka Michinoku in about 10 minutes flat via pin. This was Sho finally getting on the board after suffering early losses. Good and competitive match. Taka has been surprisingly good playing the crafty vet here in Best of Super Juniors and has been having good and fun little matches. Your thoughts?
Yeah, fine match. Sho wins as he needed to. As we kind of see later on, Taka is kind of just he's the veteran Ren Narita, I guess, because he's not winning anything, and that's fine. It's a fine use of Taka. Good win for Sho. He certainly needed it after struggling out of the gate.
Fair enough, I agree. Second match on this card was Marty Scurll defeating Tiger Mask at 13 minutes via pin. Perfectly solid match, a little flat I thought, but Marty picks up a good win, and he needed one here, so again, I thought it was fine, just nothing special.
Yeah, same, just kind of a match. Marty did need the win. Tiger Mask, as we talked about last time, kind of started strong. He'll obviously fade. Marty's going to be positioned kind of that middle of the pack, maybe upper tier at the near the very end. But Marty's just in a better positioning than Tiger Mask, so he needed to go over here.
Exactly. Next up, Taiji Ishimori defeated Teton at 11:45 via pin. Good match, good execution throughout, but it was kind of a night off play the hits because Ishimori is legit banged up now with his neck. Nothing bad, but it's just if you were expecting like a frantic pace or a lot of energy, you didn't quite get it here, but it was at least good, I thought.
It was a good rebound match for Ishimori because I think his match prior to this was the Scurll match, and that I gave my thoughts on that. I hated that match. Yeah, Ishimori needed the kind of a rebound performance, and if he is banged up, then yeah, he doesn't need to go out and try to kill himself against Teton. No offense to Teton, who I think is having a good run in this tournament, but Ishimori could use the night off. So strong booking overall and a fine match. The theme of the night.
Agreed. Dragon Lee next up defeated the man Jonathan Gresham at 10 minutes via pin. A little shorter than I was expecting. It felt like they almost went home a little early, but while he lost, I thought it was a very good match and a good showcase for Gresham as he largely dominated Dragon Lee throughout.
I wish this got more time. Dragon Lee's the champion. Jonathan Gresham, I think you could have showcased him more in this match. And you're right, he did dominate, so he did get some really strong shine in this match. But I still felt like he could have got even more because it was a 10-minute match, and you got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion here. I thought this could have been longer. Dragon Lee winning, not really a surprise. He's kind of had his loss. He's not going to be losing too many more matches, especially to kind of a mid-tier guy like Gresham. Gresham got some shine. I just wish the match would have gone a little bit longer.
I agree. I wanted a little more too because I was really digging the match, but I thought it was very good. And we close up with Shingo defeating Kanemaru in 15:30 via pin. Overall, I thought it was a pretty great match. Kanemaru used every heel trick in the book to try to get the advantage on Shingo, who's been just mowing fuckers down, which is exactly what he needs to be doing. And but yeah, it gave Taichi got involved, giving Kanemaru a chair. Shingo ended up taking a chair, blocked the whiskey mist, and then he hit the whiskey mist on Kanemaru, hit Noshigami and the pumping bomber. And then the Young Lions held off Taichi again, which has been a fun little thread throughout the tournament. And Shingo wins with Last of the Dragon, 15.5. Pretty great match. It's not my favorite style of match, but I did think that the smoke and mirrors and Kanemaru going with all the heel tricks allowed him to be competitive enough that it didn't hurt Shingo in any way, but still gave us a fairly interesting match that made you think that they may screw Shingo here.
I I didn't have an issue with the match. Shingo is really good, and they made him vulnerable in this match, which kind of set the table for the upcoming nights in some instances. I kind of wish they had just flipped, because I never really bought that Kanemaru had a chance. They tried with the heel tactics and to make you feel like, hey, maybe this is the guy to beat Shingo, but come on, Kanemaru wasn't gonna beat Shingo. I wish they had sort of flipped, but because it was the main event, you can't just do like a 10-minute main event. I wish they had flipped the Dragon Lee Jonathan Gresham match and then this match, and kind of just had Shingo keep going with let me just run through these guys kind of thing, and then give him more time to Dragon Lee and Jonathan Gresham. But because this was the main event, they had to give it more time, and I think they played it smartly with the heel work and the Tai Chi interference and making Shingo vulnerable, but not like super vulnerable. So I think they worked around that well. I think overall we could have gotten a better night had they just flipped the last two matches and let Gresham and Dragon Lee go out there and really perform.
I don't necessarily disagree, because I do think that, I mean, a shorter Shingo Kanemaru match probably wouldn't have been as good, but it would have been a better win for Shingo if he just kind of mows through him in like 9 minutes, and then you give the other 5 or 6 to Lee and Gresham, which could have been great as well. So yeah, again, it's a fair criticism, I think. So yeah, so that was night 5. We move on to night 6, and we have, starting off, Rocky Romero defeated Ren Narita at 12.5 minutes via submission. I thought this would be really good, and it was, because Rocky Romero absolutely loves Ren Narita. He talks him up all the time on commentary, and he gave him a lot here. Really good match. I really enjoyed it. Ren Narita continues to grow, and he was really good. He's having a strong tournament overall. Really enjoyable matches, even though he's losing all his matches, which is his role right now.
MVP Ren Narita, as I've said on the last podcast, he is my Best of Super Juniors MVP. Rocky Romero winning, no shock. Ren Narita is probably not going to win in this tournament. He should. If New Japan Pro Wrestling wasn't a bunch of cowards, they would have this man win the whole thing. Yeah, good match though, because as I said, it's tough to have a bad match with Ren Narita, with the style he works, and with these other guys, because they're all really strong workers as well. And I've always said since the beginning of time, maybe not that far back, but I've always been really high on Ren Narita, and he's proving himself in this tournament. And Romero, as you said, loves him, and they went out. They had a really strong match, and Ren Narita, this is what he's going to do throughout the tournament. He's going to have 3.5 star matches. He's not going to stink up the joint. But he's not going to get enough time to have like some super classic. But hey, if he averages out to a 3.5 star match rating for his Best of Super Juniors run, that's pretty good as a young lion.
Yeah, he's definitely, and the thing is, I also love when you watch like a guy like him, is just watching him grow throughout the tournament and stuff, and improving. He gets to work with a bunch of different guys, and then again, Rocky has been really great throughout this tournament too, and was really giving to him here. Just really good stuff. Really enjoyed it. We move on next. Bandito defeats Dookie at 10 minutes via pin to finally get on the board. I thought it was a good match. Better than Dookie's last effort versus Tai Chi, obviously, or Taguchi versus, which that stunk up the joint to me. But, yeah, I thought this was really good. Or not really good. I thought it was good. Bandito finally gets the win. He's been a bit hit and miss in the tournament, but stepped up later on. But he picks up the win here. Your thoughts?
I think this is where they finally just cut bait with Dookie, and they realized this guy sucks. I've still been underwhelmed with Bandito. This was not going to be the match that was going to pull me out of that, because he was wrestling Dookie, so that it just wasn't going to happen. Good that Bandito got the win. Not much to it. It really just got Bandito on the board, and I think it really established, like, all right, we've tried with this Dookie guy. We kind of gave him a backstory and all this other nonsense, and we've made you believe he's going to win some matches, and he has won a couple matches, maybe just one. But And now it's just like, all right, there's no hope for this guy. He's just gonna lose.
Yep. Moving on, El Phantasmo defeated Robbie Eagles, 10.5 minutes. Thought it was a good match. Phantasmo remains undefeated, but quite honestly, I thought Robbie Eagles outshined him here.
Yeah, Robbie Eagles is having a strong run, and good on him. He looks good during this run, and they're obviously positioning Phantasmo for a big spot, so him winning made sense and wasn't too big of a shocker. But Eagles, as you said, he's been impressing during Best of Super Juniors. I don't know if he was. I thought they were pretty even. Like I liked Phantasmo's work in this match, and I like his work overall in this tournament. But Eagles has certainly been a guy who. We talked about Bandito being underwhelming because he just hasn't had sort of banger matches, and okay, maybe he hasn't had the time or anything. But Eagles, he's been in a similar position where it's not like he's had a ton of time in these matches, and he's still had a better tournament than Bandito.
Fair enough. Moving on, chaos explodes as Will Ospreay defeated Young Yo at 24.5 minutes via pin. Thought this was a great match. Yo is really stepping up. He's using the calf killer now. Just more edge to his work. He's getting some of that vibe that Sho has that he lacks a lot of the time, because Sho can be just so aggressive and he has such a great sense of urgency. And Yo is just kind of like his opposite personality-wise and in the ring. But, and Sho rightfully gets a lot of the headlines as the future star from the team. But I thought Yo has been really stepping up, did really good here. He was a believable challenger to Ospreay because they had the crowd buying into all the near falls. Great performance from him. Will Ospreay just delivers again. I mean, he's Will Ospreay, Jeremy. It's hard for him to pretty much to have anything but a good match these days. I thought it was great. Certified banger, just over 4 stars. Great stuff.
I told you Yo is the star of the team. He's been better than Sho in this tournament. Don't at me on that. It's the truth. Ospreay is Ospreay. I said it once, I'll say it again. He's top 5 in the world right now. He's just excellent at just about everything. Yo, he doesn't get the headlines that Sho does. He doesn't get the cool music that Sho has or the gear, whatnot, but he's just as good as Sho, and a match like this kind of shows that. Another great match out of Ospreay. Not surprising because this guy is just, again, he's great at everything. Nothing bad to say about it. Ospreay winning, obviously the right call because of the way they're positioning him. Good that Sho got a lot in this match, got a lot of time, really got to show something really got to show something because we know they're high on Sho and I'm high on Yo. So I'm gonna outbook New Japan here.
Fair enough. Main event, Taguchi defeated Bushi just under 15 minutes via submission. Overall good. Definitely felt like a letdown, though, after the Ospreay-Yo match. A little bit overbooked at the end, but Taguchi overcame. There's nothing wrong with it, but they just weren't living up to Yo and Ospreay.
Yeah, they weren't, and that was just a planning flaw, a booking flaw. Is if you're gonna have, like, Ospreay's got to be in the main event on this show because, all right, I get big match Gooch and all this stuff, and Bushi is fine, but you're not outperforming Will Ospreay if you give him a guy like Yo, or really if you give him anybody, like, unless it's a big match and there's really no one in this block who, I guess they did Taguchi and Doki one night, and they did who did Taguchi wrestle on the first night? It escapes my mind.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Maybe Rocky Romero, or maybe Yo. I don't recall. Anyway, but Ospreay should have been the main event here, and he should probably main event all of these shows, just because, like, this is his block, and that's just a bad call by New Japan. The match was fine. It wasn't going to live up to the Ospreay match.
Yeah, and that's I get why they tend to position certain matches the way they do. But I definitely would have switched the script on that one. Kind of like you were talking about the Dragon Lee Gresham match. Probably should have main evented the one show. I think it's just you got Will Ospreay, who is just, fucking banger machine. And I get that wrestling is personal taste, and I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but I get if you don't like Will Ospreay. That's okay. But don't try to sell me this bag of bullshit that Will Ospreay is a bad wrestler, okay? That shit's like years old now. Dude is really good. Delivers against everybody. So, again, it's fine if you don't like him, but don't try to sell me this bullshit that he's somehow a bad professional wrestler. Not the case. So, that's just my little...
As we've said, anybody who thinks Ospreay is bad is still watching GIFs from 2-3 years ago and not full matches, because this guy is flawless in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say flawless, but he's improved so much. And it's just...
I said flawless.
Well, you're wrong. Why don't you go call Shane Taylor and talk about it? So we'll move on to night 7. This was the night that they started doing all tournament matches, so no undercard tags. Taiji Ishimori defeated Taka Michinoku just under 5 minutes. Solid little match. Taka had a nice game plan, but Ishimori gets the quick win, and with him being banged up again, the right call.
Yep, nothing to it. Ishimori wins. Moving on.
Yep. Bandito continued his winning ways, pinning Ren Narita just over 6 minutes. Good little sprint. Narita with great energy in this. Bandito starting to feel a little more like Bandito in this match. Good stuff.
Another Ren Narita 3-star special.
Yep, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes we joke about that with people, but he's just, yeah. And then Jonathan Gresham defeated Teton at 11 minutes via submission. Another good match, a lot of smooth counter wrestling. Gresham is just so good and so smooth. And he just out-wrestled the Luchador, picked up the win. I thought both guys looked good here, and it was a fun match.
Yeah, for sure. No problem with Gresham. I think it was interesting that this match got more time than his match against Dragon Lee, and that's why, again, I wish they'd flipped that. But I love Gresham, and I think Teton has been impressive in this tournament. For someone like me who doesn't know a whole lot about him, I'm interested to see more of him after watching him throughout this tournament.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun overall. So, no problem with Teton there. Next up, Yo defeated Rocky Romero, 13.5 minutes via submission. Yo pulled out the calf crusher and got the win. Very good student versus teacher style match. Yo had a great game plan, outdid the teacher, picked up the win. Rocky Romero delivers again, having a hell of a tournament.
Yeah, Rocky has had a hell of a tournament, and good on him, because people kind of only see him as this kind of announcer manager nowadays, and hey, Rocky can still deliver. And once again, I really like Yo, so I had no doubt that he would deliver in this position. And Rocky working with these young guys, and that certainly helps. Like you mentioned, he really likes Ren Narita. He's high on him. He's obviously partnered with Yo and has an investment in him, so he's gonna try to make him look as good as he can. And just good work by both these guys.
Yeah, really enjoying both guys. Rocky's been so much fun in this tournament, though. Juice Robinson is doing commentary on the Korakuen shows here, and we had the Knife Pervert 2 video, and Juice was not amused at all by this. Why are we showing this shit, basically, he said. He was a treasure on commentary through these nights.
Juice was really good. He was different than Caprice Coleman, like not in a bad way, though.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Come on now. There we go. So next up, Dragon Lee defeats Tiger Mask, 9 minutes via pin. Good little babyface match. Tiger Mask playing the veteran role well, coming close, but falling to the younger champion, as it should be.
Yeah, not much to a match here. Dragon Lee's the champion. Tiger Mask, as we talked about last time, kind of got off to a hot start and then faded.
Yeah, that's kind of the Tiger Mask playbook the past couple years, and that's fine though, because he gets that little hot start against guys he kind of should beat, and then he there's some drama in the later matches, which is good. Bushi defeated Dookie at 7:20 via pin. It was perfectly solid, with Bushi finally getting on the board.
Yeah, nothing to it. next.
Yep. Next up, Kanemaru defeated Sho at 425 via countout. Kanemaru slid into his old shitty sleazy heel bag of tricks. They brawled on the floor and they tripped up Sho and beat him in to steal the win. And this is one of those little, the heel finally gets his win. And Kanemaru is a great slime ball. I'll give him that.
I really liked this because it was different. One criticism I have about New Japan is they do these count out teases a lot, like a whole lot, and you never really buy them. And then when they deliver on one of them, it's like, oh, well, good, it finally paid off to something. So I like when these count out teases, they actually deliver on something. I'm not a fan of count out wins and losses. It's kind of just, you want to see clean winners and losers. But when they tease this stuff so often, when they finally do pay it off on something, it makes it feel special. So not that a count out win should feel as special, but yeah, I'm glad they paid off all these count off teases. And Sho, the guy isn't winning a whole lot, but he's also losing to the best, and then he kind of loses here to a veteran who kind of just pulled a dirty trick on him. He pulled the sneaky style on him. Rocky needs to get him back in there and teach him some more lessons.
That's right. Next up, Robbie Eagles defeated Taguchi 11.5 minutes via pin. Really good, fun match. Both guys were just... They had a great pace. They created good drama with the near falls down the stretch. Big match Gooch pulls out some more serious style stuff. Robbie Eagles, I felt, looked really good again.
Yeah, another strong performance for Eagles, and Taguchi kind of with a bounce back performance after his last one. And Eagles gets a good win here because they've positioned Taguchi fairly strong thus far.
Yep. Next up was Shingo versus Marty Scurll. Shingo defeated Marty 14 minutes via pin. They had Brody King finally get involved in one of Marty's matches to create some drama down the stretch. Kind of like the Kanemaru match with Shingo. And he's been such a dominant force here that they had to work something to where, Marty's really good, but Marty looks so small next to him that they had to do something to make it a little more competitive to where he could believably control things. Thought they did that. I didn't think we really needed it, but I understand why they did it. And it was good, just not great.
I didn't mind the Brody King kind of interference here because, as you said, they had to do something to make you believe Scurll was going to win. And they've done a good job of not utilizing Brody King thus far in the tournament. So doing it here kind of shows, I think it actually positions Shingo stronger, even like he needs it at this point. But like, all right, this is a match where Brody King kind of has to stick his nose into things. Like, this is a guy that you really got to look out for, and you need Brody King watching your back here. So I thought it made Shingo look a little bit stronger. I understand the gripes that, hey, they were having a good match. Why do you really need it? But I also understand why they did it, and I don't think it hurt it too much.
No, and I think it's a fair assessment. Main event, big match Will versus El Phantasmo. El Phantasmo picks up the win just under 27 minutes. Thought they had a great match with a tremendous energy, and overall I thought it was laid out very strongly. This was Phantasmo's best performance of the tournament to this point. Ospreay just delivers again. He was a great babyface, surviving Phantasmo's assault on his neck. Great home stretch. Phantasmo took control of the block with the win. And Ospreay is kind of at a point to where he's basically bulletproof because he can take this loss. It doesn't hurt him in any way. And it only helps El Phantasmo.
And that's the thing with this match is they clearly want to establish El Phantasmo, and they've kept him undefeated up until this point. And if he was going to lose, like losing to Will Ospreay really isn't going to hurt you. But if you want to make this guy, and they want to make this guy, then you have him beat Will Ospreay, because he's fucking Will Ospreay. Like, he is bulletproof in this tournament and even above this tournament. So I thought this was a well laid out match. Will Ospreay was going to deliver because he's Will Ospreay, and Phantasmo is good. You kind of had that built in backstory with these two as well, and just a fine, perfect, not perfect, but just a very strong professional wrestling match from start to finish, and just another one of those matches where you feel something during it. And I thought both guys did a great job, and the layout was strong, and the booking was strong as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Real quick before we move on to Night 8, I forgot our little promotional deal at the beginning. You can follow the 411 on Wrestling Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and of course the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to subscribe and share the show around, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. So we now move on to Night 8, and we start off, Jeremy, with El Phantasmo defeating Ren Narita.
Yeah, Phantasmo wasn't going to lose after just beating Ospreay. And Ren Narita did his thing, another just perfectly acceptable match.
Yeah, good stuff. Ren Narita is just, he's so much fun, and especially when you're in Kirk Hall, it's so great because the fans react to him so big. And they're just into like every near fall, and it's so good. And just really enjoyable stuff. It was never in doubt, but Phantasmo was also a great dick heel here. He was just such a shithead in the best way possible.
I mean, he had every right to be. He just beat Will Ospreay, and now like he's facing this young lion. So they kind of gave you the impression that, hey, maybe he's a little too cocky here, and Ren Narita can pull it off. But that was never really going to happen. I thought this was strong character work by Phantasmo in a match that he was never in doubt.
Yeah, and a great Juice Robinson commentary line at the beginning was Kevin Kelly asked Juice how he was, and he said, "I'm happier than a pig in shit." And then El Phantasmo comes out and he goes, "Speaking of shit," just deadpan. Yeah, Juice was having such a good time. Next up, Teton.
Juice was definitely drunk off his ass during this entire tour.
Well, he probably was, but he was funny as shit, man. I laughed.
Oh no, I don't blame the guy. Like I'm sure he got paid a decent amount to just kind of sit there and talk about these juniors who he probably doesn't work a whole lot with. I mean, he has stable connections with them, but he's not like wrestling these guys on a one-on-one basis too often. And hey, it's good money if you can get it.
That's right. So next up, Teton defeated Taka Michinoku just over 8 minutes via pin. Pretty good, little bit of an awkward finish, but Teton stays rolling as Taka continues to lose.
Yeah, Taka, I mean, he's just kind of donezo in this tournament. And again, Taka's put in some good performances, though. He's kind of, again, he's like the veteran Ren Narita at this point. And in Teton, I still like his work throughout this tournament. So I thought this was another solid match.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, Taka is, when you look at it, I mean, this is the perfect thing for him to be doing, is putting people over. He is the low man on the Suzuki Gun totem pole for the most part. You know, he's generally just the hype man for Zack Sabre Jr., which we all love. And so I mean, he's having good outings for the most part. Nothing's been bad, and it's working. So next up, Robbie Eagles versus Bushi. Bushi picked up the win at just over 8 minutes. And Kevin Kelly was running down and talking about Bushi's accomplishments, and he was basically talking about his mask and everything. And Juice says, and most importantly, he looks like an asshole. Just, I don't know why. I laughed so much. So, just fun. But again, good match here. Nice sense of urgency. Bushi picked up the win he needed after hitting the MX. And again, Robbie Eagles, another good performance. Bushi looked good. Good match.
Robbie Eagles should have won.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but he didn't. So you should
give me the pin, Gato.
Gato's a coward.
It's very true.
Next up, Jonathan Gresham defeated Tiger Mask, 9 minutes, 30 seconds via pin. Good and fun match filled with a lot of counter wrestling, and we got a bit of grumpy Tiger Mask in here, which is always good because that's always the most fun Tiger Mask, especially when he works with young lions. That's always good. But I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, Gresham, again, good tournament thus far. Tiger Mask still kind of down that same kind of road where he picked up some wins, and now he falls back in line where he was always going to be.
Yep. Next up, Yo back on the board again, defeating Dookie at 11:45 via pin. Actually, good match overall. Yo looked great.
Of course it was good. My man Yo carrying things.
Now, who's your man? Is it Yo or is it Shane Taylor? I'm getting so confused.
It's 100% greatest wrestler in the world, Shane Taylor.
Fair enough. But yeah, Yo continues to look good, showing great fire, really enjoying this tournament from him. Good match, and again, you drag good out of Dookie and you're a hero. Got Knife Pervert 2 video time, which again pissed off poor Juice Robinson.
Can Juice pay off somebody to not run this video every single fucking night? What kind of pull does Juice have here? I mean, it's good on New Japan. We mentioned this when they first started running these videos. Is they're going to run these videos like every single fucking night because this is what they do and they're good at that and they like building this drama. It's obvious that they just threw Juice out there on commentary so they can keep running these videos and have a reason for it. And, you know, that's a smart move. I'm not knocking it at all. I feel bad for Juice that this guy's just trying to do commentary for Best of Super Juniors and they're running these damn videos on him.
But he's hilarious every time they show it. Like this time he was like, why are we showing this? He's like, this is about the juniors. He's like, we don't need to be seeing this crap. You know, just going on. He's like, why are we even showing this again? He's like, hasn't everybody already seen it?
That should be his reaction, because if I'm Juice, I'm wondering the same thing. Like, I'm just out here as an innocent bystander trying to do commentary for Best of Super Juniors, and you're showing like this video that you've shown a million times and just knock it off. Again, Juice, you got to get some pull, my man.
I know. Next up, Marty Scurll versus Show. Marty came out limping, all bandaged up from his battle with Shingo, selling his injuries. He had Brody King with him. But unfortunately for young Show, it was a trap. Marty was just fooling him and attacked him, hit a powerbomb for an early near fall, and then they proceeded to have an overall great match. Marty just healing it up to, like, turned it up to 11 on the heel scale. Really great. Show had to overcome. He was disappointed after a shitty count-out loss to Kanemaru, and he had to overcome here. The crowd was hot for everything they did. Show picks up the needed win, and just great match. Loved it.
Show really stepped it up here. Not that I had any doubts that he couldn't step it up. And Scurll, I always like Marty Scurll. Show needed the victory, especially after with the count-out loss. And, you know, picking up a win over Scurll is a really strong win for Show, especially in such a strong match like this. So just really good stuff by both of these guys.
Yeah, and again, you know, it is a good win for him too, because a lot of people forget Marty's former IWGP Junior Champion. So it looks really good for Show picking up the win here. Moved on, Taguchi defeated Rocky Romero 10.5 minutes via pin. This was officially unofficial for the recognized coach of New Japan Pro Wrestling. They, of course, mixed in some comedy and had a good time. I think these guys look like they were having a ton of fun doing this. Crowd loves them. They had a lot of good times, and it was good, it was fun, it was lighthearted, it was a nice change of pace, and, you know, there was a little bit of seriousness to it, but, you know, again, it was very lighthearted for the most part, and while Taguchi won, they ended up agreeing to co-coach New Japan at the end, and they posed together, so everybody was happy.
They just went out there and they were having fun, Michael, and there's nothing wrong with that in this match. Romero continues a strong tournament. Taguchi, he's had a strong tournament, and this felt like a night where he didn't have to kind of go all out and be big match Gooch. He could just kind of play to that comedy a little bit more, so I had no problems with this.
Fair enough. Moving on, Kanemaru defeated Taiji Ishimori at just under 4 minutes. Kanemaru has historically owned Ishimori throughout their battles. He's like 11-0 against him going into this one through all the years of Noah and stuff like that. It was perfectly okay for what it was. It was Kanemaru getting a sleazy heel victory. And, it's, you had to get Ishimori a loss here. And, again, Juice Robinson's shining at the end as Ishimori loses, and he yells out, "Cock-blocked, boner soldier." So, yes, Juice was very much drunk and having a good time.
Juice was so fucking good.
He's
so good during this. He really was. This was really, if you had doubts about Ishimori kind of being banged up, like this kind of put all that to rest, because he's definitely a little bit banged up. They worked a really brief match here, and then Kanemaru picks up the victory. And Kanemaru, they're kind of positioning him with these last couple of matches as someone who can be a threat. And I do think he has a big match on the final night, so I understand why they're doing that. I don't buy him as such, but they're establishing him well, and I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, they're trying to set him up as a potential spoiler, and there's nothing wrong with that. And again, it's a sleazy little heel wins that plays perfectly into his character. So next up, we moved on to Will Ospreay versus Bandito. These guys had an excellent match over WrestleMania weekend, and I was really excited for this one. Will Ospreay defeats Bandito in just a second under 18 minutes via pin. And this was the match everybody was looking for Bandito, Jeremy. He had a fine tournament, a little underwhelming, a little understated. And then him and Big Match Willie lock it up here and deliver an absolute fucking banger. Match of the year style contender. I loved it. Your thoughts?
This was certainly, we talked about Bandito's kind of underwhelming tournament so far. And okay, maybe he hasn't been able to wrestle the best guys. Maybe he hasn't had enough time, whatever you want to call it. But this was his spot. If you go in there with Will Ospreay and you get as much time as these guys got, we know what they can do. We saw them over WrestleMania weekend at the WrestleCon show. I still cannot believe New Japan or ROH did not put the kibosh on that match, because it would have been more special if this was the first time we ever saw it. But because we've seen it once, this still a great match. I don't think quite lived up to the WrestleCon match, but this was certainly the match that you wanted out of Bandito here. And this was the match that Bandito was going to deliver in, if he was going to deliver. And I had no doubts about this match, really. One, because it's Will Ospreay and he's fucking great. And two, Bandito is fucking great. Despite his underwhelming tournament, he's really, really good, and he showed why in this match.
I actually like this one a little bit better than the WrestleMania weekend match. I thought it was a little bit better. I thought that the time was good for it. I thought that the second half was just great change of pace moments, excellent drama. And I thought they did a great job of making Bandito feel like a viable winner. And that's the thing. I mean, I thought Ospreay would win this one, but they made me question it a few times. And for me, it's the match of the tournament so far. And Jeremy, these fellas are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought it was better than the WrestleCon match, I'm not going to argue. It's literally arguing over half a star, or not even that, a quarter of a star. Yeah, it's a quarter of a star. And I don't do star ratings anyway. You always tell me that, what's a 5-star match? It's a gut feeling. My gut feeling is the WrestleCon match was better. Maybe I should go back and watch them both back to back, and I'll have a better deterring of it. But just after watching this match and after watching the WrestleCon match, I felt more after the WrestleCon match. Again, we're arguing over less than a quarter of a star here, because
they're both excellent matches, man.
Yeah. It's not that serious. But yeah, these guys are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and just when you thought that was awesome, we go to the main event. Shingo defeated Dragon Lee 1740 via pin. And, this was a match that a lot of times you would look at a card, like we talked about the AEW card earlier and how, Jericho and Omega didn't feel like it lived up to like Cody and Dustin and the Bucks and the Lucha Bros. But these boys went on and also delivered a fucking banger. This was just so good because it was just everything you love about Shingo, everything you love about Dragon Lee, working this fucking great back and forth match, drama building throughout the entire match. And then they get to the home stretch, and there is this amazing part near the end where Dragon Lee starts making a comeback. He hits a code red, then he follows with a knee strike, a rebound German, another knee strike, a reverse Rana, and then another fucking knee strike, and Shingo kicks out at 1. And Dragon Lee looks like he's about to shit his pants because he knows he's done. He unloaded his entire arsenal on the Beast. And the superior Dragon won the match as he countered Desnucadora, hit Last of the Dragon, and put away the champion. So not only is Shingo just running roughshod over this tournament, he beat the champion, so if by some miracle he does not win the tournament, he's going to get a title shot. Again, this was excellent stuff. I liked Bandito and Ospreay a smidge better, but if you tell me you like this one better, I couldn't argue with them. They're both excellent. They're both up there for best matches in the tournament so far, and just a great main event to close things out. Just Lee unleashing everything he had on Shingo, only to fail and look like he was scared to hell at the end, was just great stuff. And Shingo is just such a star.
Shingo is amazing. Dragon Lee, amazing. I like this match better than Ospreay and Bandito, and let me tell you why you are wrong to like Ospreay and Bandito more. I'm just kidding. But I did like this match better. I thought the stakes maybe felt a little bit higher because we know Shingo has been on this amazing run and he's undefeated, never been pinned and whatnot, and like now he's facing the champion. And okay, the champion can lose in this format. He's already lost one match, so it's going like it's happened. But you don't want your champion losing too much, and with one loss already there, it's like, all right, is he gonna pick up that second loss? And then for Shingo, like he's facing the champion. Like this guy's a champion for a reason. So if anybody's going to beat him, like it could, like the champion would make sense to beat him. So I thought just in that sense, the stakes were higher for this match. They delivered big time. The ending stretch with the kick out at 1 and Dragon Lee just being like, what do I got to do to beat this fucking guy? And then Shingo just killing him right after that. Such good stuff. And it really, like, we knew they were going to position Shingo strong when everything was announced because they've been positioning him strong literally since the day he debuted in New Japan. But this was just like really, like, if you had any concerns about, all right, Dragon Lee's going to take him down a notch or whatever, like, no, like Shingo is here, and this guy, I would be shocked if at the end of this whole thing he's not the champion, because like that's where he's at. And it really builds to something like even bigger now, because Shingo's going to get his match against Dragon Lee, whether he wins this tournament, which we all kind of assume he will. But if he doesn't, then he's got this victory over Dragon Lee. And so that establishes him as a credible title challenger. And now you've got something else to like play on. Like, how does Dragon Lee, like, he hit this guy with what he thought was his best shot and he got one. What does he do next time to put this guy away? And I think the rematch is going to be even better than this match.
And that's a scary thought, because this was fucking excellent. And the one big important thing too to look at is, Dragon Lee, he unloaded pretty much everything, but he never was able to hit Desnucadora, which is his finish. So that's the thing is, if they do a rematch and he actually hits that is going to lead to a great near fall. And that's going to be the big tease, because everybody knows he didn't hit it here. So, he hit everything else, fucking through a kitchen sink at one point, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, just couldn't overcome. It's amazing because Shingo's been wrestling for like 15 years and he's been great for a long time. But it almost feels like we're like really getting into his prime right now. And it's so good to watch and it's so enjoyable. So, have you watched Night 9, Jeremy?
Yes, I have watched Night 9.
All right, well, good. Then we will talk about Night 9. I thought you might have, but I didn't want to assume. So, Night 9, we move on. Show defeats Tiger Mask in our opener, 8:15. Good match. Again, Tiger Mask, the story, putting up the good veteran fight before losing to the Junior Ace in this one.
Yeah, Show needed a win here. Tiger Mask can take a loss. It was a fine match and good on Show.
Exactly. We move on. Will Ospreay defeated Ren Narita, 8:45 via pin. Really good little sprint. Ren Narita just delivering again. Crowds are into his near falls. Tremendously fun stuff. And like the Rocky Romero match, Will gave him a lot here. And just a ton of fun.
MVP, Ren Narita, pulling out an excellent match over fairly decent wrestler Will Ospreay.
Yeah, fairly solid and gentlemanly Will Ospreay, yes.
Yeah, he's all right. But you put him in there with Ren Narita, and it's just going to boost his value that much more.
That's right. Ren Narita's a star maker. What are you going to do? Marty Scurll in our next match defeated Kanemaru at 5:35 via pin. Solid little match with the villains trying to out-heel each other, and Marty wins with Black Plague in the end. And they did some stuff where Marty had the umbrella, blocked the whiskey mist, got a cradle and stuff like that. But yeah, it was kind of fun. It was solid, it was just like the heel stuff. So it was what it was.
I like the Marty kind of the umbrella gimmick. I told you I'm a big fan of Marty Scurll. This is one of those weird ones though, where it's like you've kind of been positioning Kanemaru as a threat, a spoiler, and then he loses quickly to Marty Scurll, and this block, it's an odd block to me, and like Kanemaru's fine. I think he honestly should have won here to try to give him more of that position as the spoiler there. And I mean, Shingo is going to win this block. It is what it is. But Kanemaru is, I don't know. I thought he should have won this match.
I think that's a fair observation. Moving on, Robbie Eagles defeated Dookie 8:16 via submission. Good match. Dookie made it dirty. He ended up busting open Robbie Eagles with a DDT on a chair on the floor. Eagles overcame, and I thought looked good again. Again, he's having a good tournament.
Good stuff from Eagles. Dookie, he's fine now that I feel that they've kind of just established where he is on the pecking order. They're not going too hard with the, hey, this guy's a threat. This guy, Taichi's hitman. He's got nothing to lose and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're just kind of like, all right, he's not all that good, and he's just kind of settled into things now. He's still not great or anything, but now that our expectations, and that's probably what it comes down to, is our expectations have been lowered. And so we're just like, all right, this guy, we're not expecting anything out of him. If he has just a decent match, then we're excited. And he's doing fairly well since then.
As long as he
give
doesn't,
him some credit.
As long as he doesn't have any more shitty Dollar Tree Desperado matches like he had with Taguchi, I'm okay. So, moving on, Shingo defeated Taka Michinoku just over 7 minutes via pin. It was fun. Taka went old school wearing the blue gear, which led to Kevin Kelly talking about their history in WWF and how Mrs. Yamaguchi was a dish back in the day. So, lots of heel shenanigans from Taka. Tried to use every advantage he knew, eye pokes, everything. He used the posted figure 4. Just trying to do everything he could. He even busted out a second rope moonsault to the floor at one point. And, just Taka working really hard as the cranky veteran. But he was not ready for Mr. Shingo. Shingo killed him with the pumping bomber, hit Last of the Dragon, put him away. Good little match. Taka played his role well. Shingo continues to roll.
Yeah, I mean, Taka was never going to win this match, but I still think he's had a strong tournament. Shingo wins because Shingo should win.
That's right. Knife Pervert 2 video time, and the latest rumor is that the Knife Pervert, and this will be interesting to see how it plays in multiple companies, is that it's going to be Mark Haskins.
It'd be funny if it was Mark Haskins and New Japan was just like, yeah, fuck your lifeblood bullshit. Like, this is the story we want to run. I think it'd be great because, I mean, if I'm New Japan, I don't know what their deal is with ROH, but after I just watched that AEW show, I'm like, why am I sticking with these guys? Because, you know, ROH kind of doesn't have a whole lot going on, and AEW is like, they're the second biggest promotion right now. So I think it'd be fine if New Japan just undercut ROH booking and is just like, yeah, who gives a fuck what you're going to do? We know we're carrying both of these companies right now anyway. Like, you guys would be shit without us right now. So either step your game up, we're going to AEW, and just deal with whatever. They're basically just going to treat them like Vince treats NXT. Like, yeah, just deal with it, figure it out. We're the top show, even though NXT is a better quality product.
This is true. Next up, Bandito continued to pick up another win here as he defeated Taguchi just under 11 minutes. A very good match overall. Taguchi was very playful here, but he had some flashes of big match Gooch, while Juice Robinson was making sure that we all knew that Bandito should take off the mask because my man is guapo as fuck. Love Juice.
Oh my god. Juice, I mean, Bandito's in Lifeblood, so, I mean, Juice would know if Bandito is guapo as fuck, so, I mean, the comment makes sense. Good follow-up for Bandito after the Ospreay match. He's kind of turned it around here, and Taguchi, as we've seen through this tour, can raise his game when he needs to.
That's right.
And a good win for Bandito, too, because Taguchi has been positioned fairly strong in this tournament, and Bandito has been underwhelming and hasn't done a whole lot until you beat Taguchi, and it's a good win for Bandito.
Completely agreed. Moving on, Taiji Ishimori defeated Jonathan Gresham at just under 7 minutes. It was good while it lasted. Gresham looked really good again, and Ishimori gets in and out with another quick match, so he can hopefully start to recover.
Yeah, this is a shame that Ishimori is kind of banged up, because this could have been a better match, but because Ishimori just needs some time off to sort of heal here, he's got to work these shorter matches, and so it almost feels like we're getting robbed of some good matches. There's been, like, okay, he doesn't need to go long with like Taka or anything, but a match right here could have done wonders for Gresham, and could have just done wonders for match quality.
Yeah, I agree, and it is a shame, but unfortunately, that's kind of what happens when we work these long tournaments. Speaking of injury, Talk is actually going to be off of night 10 due to his he has a leg injury, which will give Dragon Lee 2 more points in the standings via injury forfeit. So that's later on, but.
Yeah, Taka, I mean, he was going to lose that match anyway. So.
Exactly, so it doesn't really matter.
Good for Dragon Lee just to get that one off.
That's right. He could use a nice little break. So next up, Bushi defeated your boy Yo at just under 12 minutes. Thought it was a pretty good match. It kind of lacked intensity, and it wasn't long, but it kind of felt longer than it was to me. I don't know about you, but it was pretty good, just kind of there.
Bushi dragging my man Yo down. That's what this was. And then Bushi just not doing a whole lot for me. And I said it earlier on previous podcasts, like, he didn't do a whole lot for me in the first place. And this tournament hasn't really changed my mind on him.
You're not the only one that thinks that. Bushi is very inconsistent. There's times where he looks real good. And then there's this, like, he goes out there and just kind of, he goes through the motions, he does the shirt choke, he does the mist, it's like, okay, buddy, we've seen it all. So, but moving on, we had a great match next. Dragon Lee defeated Teton at 14.5 minutes. Very good and competitive match between babyface friends. Teton really stepped it up, having his first great outing of the tournament, and Dragon Lee just continues to deliver again.
Yeah, Dragon Lee's been strong throughout this tournament, as you would expect from a guy who's going to get long matches and the guy who's the champion of the division. And as I've been saying, I've been impressed with Teton, and this was his first, I feel like his first real opportunity to go out there and have a strong outing, because he got, he's wrestling the champion, he's wrestling one of his friends, and he stepped up and delivered here. So good on Teton. He's been kind of my breakout guy in this tournament. Like, if you're coming into this tournament blind and you kind of only know just the New Japan guys, and so this is your first experience with Teton and Bandito and Gresham, and I'm sure there's a couple more guys that I might be missing. Maybe even Robbie Eagles, even though he's been around a little bit, and even like El Phantasmo, like Teton, outside of like maybe Phantasmo, because Phantasmo has just been positioned better than Teton, but I think Teton is kind of the breakout star of the best of Super Juniors rookies here.
Even over your boy Ren Narita?
Well, everyone knows Ren Narita. They know he's great. I know.
So, but yeah, great match. Really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see Teton get a little more time, get a chance to deliver. And yeah, Dragon Lee just killing it. And then our main event of the evening, Rocky Romero defeated the undefeated El Phantasmo, 28 minutes and 50 seconds via submission. This was absolutely great. This was Rocky Romero's Rocky story. It was the story of the aging veteran trying to make the most of what may be his last Best of Super Junior run. And not only has he shown that he can still go, he's had really good to great matches, but he steps up here, he survives, he overcame. It felt maybe a little overbooked at times, but I will say it played in well to the whole story down the stretch, which was Rocky overcoming. They kind of did the Eddie Guerrero spot with the belt. And just the crowd was into everything Rocky did. They were rallying for him. Commentary was rallying for him. Everybody wanted to see Rocky beat this douchebag. And that's all they wanted from this. And it was a great match down the stretch. It felt like they were teasing a draw, which if Rocky would have taken him to a draw would have been interesting too. But Rocky ends up getting the win via the submission. Just great stuff. El Phantasmo was great here. Spectacular asshole. Rocky Romero is just the aging babyface veteran picking up the win and then celebrating with his boys Yo and Show afterwards. And this was also Rocky's first singles main event ever in Korakuen Hall. So he picks up the huge win here and turns the block around a bit not for himself, but he changes the overall settings because Phantasmo finally takes his first loss.
This was, when you look at it prior to the match taking place, you wonder why Rocky Romero and El Phantasmo is the main event, and El Phantasmo has been booked really strong in this tournament. I mean, he was undefeated leading up to this match. Rocky had one win, and it was just, all right, it seems like a foregone conclusion of who is going to win this match. Rocky has had such a good tournament, even though he hasn't had a win. He's still had competitive matches, and he's delivered in these matches, and that's made him just look good throughout this tournament. But it still just felt like, all right, Rocky will be competitive with this guy. In the end, Phantasmo is going to win because he's fucking undefeated, and I mean, he might go through this whole block undefeated after defeating Will Ospreay. And that's essentially the story they conveyed prior to coming into this match, and then they played on that throughout the match as well. And Rocky, as you said, it was a Rocky story for him. He had the underdog role. The crowd was just loving like the Korakuen crowd was great throughout the whole kind of their tour here, their whole run for the past few nights. And then they get to this match, and they had a lot to live up to, because there's the previous night they had some really good matches. They got Ospreay and Phantasmo as well. Like they've seen a lot of great wrestling, and on paper you're thinking Rocky Romero, El Fantasmo to cap your run here, not the strongest match on paper. So they, in a sense, they were fighting an uphill battle, and like they just hooked the crowd with everything they did in this match. And then Rocky overcomes. This was another match where it's like, this is a match that just makes you feel something with the story they are telling leading into the match. And even though these guys have had like no interactions, like they still told a story through this tournament leading into this match, and then they told a story in this match, and Rocky overcomes almost at the buzzer with, I know it was like a minute early, but almost at the buzzer, with pulling off this victory, and just excellent stuff from start to finish.
Yeah, it was. It was a great feel-good moment for Rocky, too, which is, it played so well. So after 9 nights here, right now, A block is Shingo with 12 points, Ishimori with 10 points, Dragon Lee with 8, and then you have Sho, Marty, and Gresham all with 6, Tiger Mask with 4, Teton with 4, Kanemaru with 4, and Taka with the big goose egg. B block, Phantasmo and Will Ospreay are knotted up with 10, but Phantasmo has the advantage with the head-to-head win. Taguchi and Robbie Eagles at 8 points apiece. Bushi, Yo, and Bandito each have 6. Rocky Romero has 4. Dookie has 2, and Red Narita with the Young Lions goose egg. So that is night 9 as we are caught up on Best of the Super Juniors. Jeremy and I will be back later this week. We're going to preview NXT TakeOver. We'll talk
NXT TakeOver Bridgeport.
Yes, 25, because Bridgeport's not a major town, brother.
They're very fortunate that it's 25, because if they had to go with Bridgeport, I don't know about that one. That doesn't scream like this is going to be a great show. I mean, it's going to be a great show because it's a fucking takeover, but it's just like, yeah, Phoenix, New York, where else have they gone? So whatever.
It's like Wayne's World when they're doing the blue screen thing and they're like, we could go to Paris or blah, 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 or Delaware. I mean, Delaware. Yeah, Bridgeport is not exactly a sexy town, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the complete wrap-up. AEW Double or Nothing home run show. Best of the Super Juniors rolling along with a lot of good shows and a lot of great matches. And we'll be back probably Wednesday-ish or so, and we will break down the NXT TakeOver show, talk about some other stuff. Thank you guys for listening. Remember,
fuck Steve Cook.
Yeah, that too. And you can follow the 411 on Wrestling Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and of course the 411mania.com website. Make sure to subscribe and share us around, and if you have time, leave a 5-star review. For Jeremy, I am Larry Csonka. Have a good weekend and happy wrestling.